Welcome everyone to the Premier League preview by Football Corner, and my name is Samgelo Nyati, and I'm happy to welcome Mthunzi Mbata as well to be with me as we embark on this journey to just break down and talk about the upcoming games of the Premier League that will be playing on the weekend of the 10th, on the 9th and the 10th of November. Starting with the fixture at the Vitality, not the Vitality Stadium, but the GTEC Stadium, where Brentford will be hosting Bournemouth FC. And then at the same time, we will have Crystal Palace hosting Fulham at Selhurst Park. West Ham at the London Stadium will host Everton. And then there will be the end of our 5 o'clock kickoffs with Wolves hosting Southampton at the Molineux Stadium. And then we'll have a mid to late kickoff. We'll have late games this weekend, a mid to late kickoff at 7:30, where Brighton will host Manchester City at the American Express Stadium. And then our last game of the 9th of November will be Liverpool hosting Aston Villa at Anfield. Obviously, the best atmosphere in the world when it comes to football fans at 10 p.m. And then we will conclude our action for the 9th of November and go to the 10th of November, where Manchester United will host Leicester City at Old Trafford. Leicester City will be looking obviously to overturn that 5-2 loss to Manchester United in the Carabao Cup. And then Nottingham Forest, who are on the top 4 currently, will host Newcastle at the City Ground. A very difficult place to visit. And then Tottenham Hotspur at the same time will be playing Ipswich Town at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And then we conclude our weekend action with a big one at Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea will host the Gunners Arsenal, which have been on a heavy losing streak. And Chelsea, they just beat a couple of semi-pro players 8-0 in the Europa Conference League. So it's been a great week of football, and we're going to be served again this upcoming weekend. But let's go back and to the GTEC Stadium and start our day. But before we do that, Mthunzi, angakubuza impilo bhuti, uyaphila?
No, I'm good, thanks. And yourself, my man?
I know. I'm awesome, and I'm ready to tackle this thing. You can see by my excitement that it's been a while since we sat down and talked about the Premier League, so I'm very much excited to do this. It's been a while. I won't lie. So what we're going to do, we're going to start at Brentford. Brentford versus Bournemouth. Bournemouth did beat City last week. Brentford, for some reason, they lost that match against Fulham, where they were 1-0 up in the 78th minute. So they are playing each other this weekend, and I want to know, how are we going to go about this game? What to expect? There is 2 points between them. Bournemouth with 15 points in the league, Brentford with 13 points. So what are we expecting here?
Yeah, man, thank you. Yeah, we are back again as Football Corner, talking about the Premier League as always. So I think it's gonna be a very good game, an exciting one between two good teams that are coached by two good managers in Antonio Ariola and who coach Brentford, who is also good as well. I think Thomas Frank is a very good guy, a very good coach, a father as well. So I think it's gonna be a tight one. This one, I think I'm looking forward to this game as well, because I think, as you've said before, that we will see Beaumont just beat Man City 2-1 in the last game week, and then Brentford somehow they lost that game with Wilson coming back from the bench to score 2 goals actually. So it was a very good comeback by Fulham on that part. But I think this one, I think the home ground advantage would count, man. I think so, because there's not a lot that can separate these two teams. I think the home ground advantage will just be the main difference in terms of who is gonna take it on that day. I think I see a draw or a win for Brentford.
Definitely. I like to believe that Brentford will come back from their defeat against Fulham. And speaking about Fulham, they will be away at Crystal Palace around the same time as around the same kickoff time as that Brentford game. And then obviously we'll have that game playing at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace have been struggling with points. They did draw with Wolves. They did beat Tottenham that in their last home game, draw through Wolves in their last game. And then Fulham in their last away game, they drew 1-1 to with Everton. So it's quite of kind of a tricky one to call as well. But Fulham do have an upper edge at Crystal Palace, with them being ninth on the league table and Crystal Palace being 17th, just a point away from the relegation zone. So it's two teams on different sides of the table. But looking at it, Mtunzi, Crystal Palace, what do they need to do actually to score more goals? Because you see the likes of Eze are trying, but I don't believe that things are happening the way they should be for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, man. You mentioning also another important player for Crystal Palace who is injured currently. We are still waiting to hear whether he'll be available, but I think it's a serious injury. Maybe he'll be out for weeks, and that will also help my fantasy Premier League team as well, because yeah, he's been a problem. But then we're not there. So I think Crystal Palace have been improving lately. I think in the last two games, I think they had a win and a draw. And I think even the games that they lost, I think the performances were there, to be quite honest. The performances were there, it's just that they were not able to score goals. And then at the same time, defensively, I think their loss, with them losing Joachim Anderson to Fulham, I think Iona eyenze ukuthi at the back to actually concede a lot of goals, because they have been conceding silly goals, the ones that you expect Crystal Palace to defend very well. But I think again, that place is Hell's Park. I think that place is it's a very, I think a very tricky one to go at. I think the stadium it's paved, and the fans there are something else. I think the environment and everything, they always make it so difficult for teams to play there. But again, Fulham is a very good team. I think we saw Abo Wilson having to come on and change the game, and doing so good in that game. I think the likes of Andres Pereira, I do feel like he needs to do better and help Abo Smith Rowe in that midfield role. But I think Fulham is a very good team as well. But I do feel like they will win that game. I think they will come away with the win, even though they are playing away. But I do believe that with their form and the quality of players they have and everything, I think they will come out with the win in the stadium.
And like you said, Selhurst Park is a very hostile arena where we've seen big teams, the Liverpools, Man Cities, to go there and pick up results. And in a position where in their last game, Fulham, they drew away at Everton, another hostile environment where it's very difficult to visit. I do have sort of feelings that Crystal Palace will have an upper edge, and they will look to disturb Fulham in their resurgence, because obviously they are aiming for those European spots. So speaking about Everton, Everton is away as well to West Ham at the London Stadium. West Ham, things you just wonder what's happening with West Ham. They lose 3-0 to, I mean, they lose 4-1 to Spurs. They go on to win 2-1 against Manchester United, and then they lose 3-0 to Nottingham Forest. It's just too inconsistent for my liking. And For Everton, it's kind of one and the same thing basically. They did try to come back, but for Everton, I know for a fact that Everton are very good at home and are very poor away. It's something that we've known about Sean Dyche's teams in the past. So it's going to be a tricky one to see how West Ham actually managed that whole situation, because they are dropping in the league table now down to 14th, Everton at 16th, and with a win, Everton can go above West Ham United. So there is a lot in store for us in this match. So we will see how it goes, and we'll see how West Ham tackle it. But a team that is just got their first win against Everton last week, Southampton. Southampton will be away at Wolves at the Molineux Stadium, and Wolves look to be like they have found their winning combination. I want to know from you, please tell me if whether Wolves have found the winning combination or they have been just lucky in their previous games to pick up those good results. Because as much as they didn't win the matches, but it wasn't bad results as well. Looking at the 2-2 draws, the 2-1 loss against City again, I think it was impressive as well. But in their head-to-head matches, Wolves did win their last match against Southampton before they were relegated. So it's kind of a tricky one. But I want to know what's in store for us in this match.
The bottom two teams are playing against each other. I think it's gonna be a very interesting one. The winner, I think, will get so much confidence going forward. But I do believe that Wolves, ever since that Man City game, I think they have been improving as well. Even before that, some of the games you see that they were just unlucky to not to win or get a point over those games. But they do have very good fixtures in the next coming game weeks. So I think starting off with this one again, if they can get some points, I think they will be better, because I do believe that Wolves is a proper Premier League team, and I do wish them well as a team. So I think it's gonna be a very good match again. But I don't think, and I don't see Southampton causing any troubles against Wolves, as we have seen as well that Ucho Zesa is now has now retained his position there as the goalkeeper, because he was being benched in the early days of this season, but now he's back and he's making a lot of saves. We know his quality. We know the quality of Matthias Kuna. We know the quality of Strand Larsen. They are good. They are good. They can score goals. I think if they want to get goals, they should just get the ball to Matthias Kuna. But on the other side, I think the Southampton, Namanje and Sakala, I think they do lack a lot of creative players. They do lack creative players. I think Cameron Archer is a very good player, and as well as Dibling, but they need some of the other guys to step up as well.
True. They did. I think Man City. I think Man City was the catalyst to an improvement in performances for Southampton and Wolves. Like you said, since Wolves played Man City, they haven't lost a match. Southampton, since they played Man City, they have gone on to win their first match since they've been back in the Premier League. So it's kind of tricky, but again, it brings a question to this Man City game now, where they will be away at Brighton. A Brighton which narrowly lost to Liverpool in their previous game. A Brighton that always gives Man City problems when they play against them. A Man City that had two unconvincing wins against Wolves and Southampton, and then they went on to lose against Tottenham in the Carabao Cup. They went on to lose against Bournemouth in the Premier League, and went on to lose in the Champions League against Sporting. And it's not just losses, man. You look at that Bournemouth loss, they were 2-0 down at some point. It's not something that we associate with Manchester City. Similarly with Tottenham, it's the same thing. They were 2-0 down at some point. that 4-1-1, I don't even want to talk about it because it just I feel like it comes as different character to what Man City are and what they represent. So I'm wondering, going away at Brighton, what does it do to them mentally? Does it give them an edge? How are they going to beat that solid Brighton team away from home on Saturday, Joseph?
Yeah, a very tricky game for Manchester City. An away game to Brighton, of which you obviously know they play beautiful football. Ever since I've known Brighton, they've been playing beautiful football, and they can actually beat them as well. But looking at that Bournemouth game, Bournemouth versus Man City game, I never felt like Man City will go on to maybe get a draw or win that game because they were so poor. They were so flat. In a while, in a very, very, very long time, I've never seen Manchester City play that like that. They were so poor, man. I don't wanna lie. Everything that they were doing was just not clicking, especially when they got into that final third. They looked like they don't know how they play and they don't know their system and the style of play and how to actually score goals. It looked like they just forgot how to get to the final third and actually pose a threat because they were so flat. And I've been very, very disappointed about Gundogan, Ilkay Gundogan, ever since his return from Barcelona. I think he's been flat. I don't know why Pep Guardiola is starting him. I do believe that he's just playing him because it's Gundogan and there's no other player that we can fill in that position because obviously Man City lost Rodri and he's there. But he's been poor. I don't think he's had any impact ever since he came back. I think the likes of Phil Foden as well, I have to mention them because I do defend him a lot when he's playing well. But then lately, he's been very poor. I don't know if his injury during the early days of the season, because we obviously know he wasn't playing. I don't know if it had so much impact in terms of how he performs and all that. But again, I'm asking myself, why then is he doing well in the Champions League? Because the performances are there. Besides him scoring goals, but then the performances were there, or we have seen the performances in the Champions League. But him and Ilkay Gundogan will have to step up, especially Ilkay Gundogan because he's a senior player. But it's gonna be a very tricky game. They lack creativity without Kevin De Bruyne. I think they introduced him in 85 minutes when it was already 4-1. I think Erling Haaland will have to look at himself and actually assess himself. Am I doing the right job actually? Because he does get the chances. And remember, in the past, what was happening is that when Erling Haaland will get chances, he'll actually convert some and miss a lot. But because he will convert quite few chances, we will not even notice that because he's scoring and Man City was winning and they were continuing to create for him. But then now the Man City lack creativity, and Erling Haaland is also missing goals. So two different things. Previously, he was missing chances but converting a lot. But now they lack creativity and he's missing chances. I think he has to do better if they want to win that match. But hopefully, Kevin De Bruyne will be back.
Definitely. I do believe Man City won't find it a problem to bounce back from this. They have Pep Guardiola after all as a manager, and Kevin De Bruyne. I do believe that he is a spark that is always missing. You know, the worst thing that can happen to a Man City side is losing Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne at the same time. If you have Rodri and you don't have Kevin De Bruyne, you allow other players like the likes of Kovacic, the likes of everyone who's playing in midfield to be more attacking and not worry about the defensive side because Rodri is always there covering their side. And if maybe Rodri is not there and you have a Kevin De Bruyne, it's easy to play a double pivot and allow Kevin De Bruyne to just be the creator in chief. And help the team to get those goals, and it's been working for Man City. Now they lost both of them at the same time. I think it did kill their confidence, because it looked like nothing was going to stop Man City at the beginning of the season. But it does look like now we might see a different winner of the league. But it's still too early to tell. Man City can still go on that run of theirs whereby they just don't lose a match. And we know what happens when that happens. Ask Arsenal. Arsenal will tell you that we thought we had wrapped the league, but hey, Man City just came and then came with the first swap on us. So with that said, obviously the title challengers this season, Liverpool, on top of the table in the Champions League, in the Premier League as well. They are playing Aston Villa, who lost their first match in the Champions League and were very poor against Tottenham, and they received a 4-1 thrashing. What a bad fixture for Aston Villa to take on after those run of results.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's kind of a tough spell for Aston Villa lately, because they went on to also lose in the Champions League, and the previous game week they lost to, I think, Tottenham Spurs. Yeah, so I think Aston Villa, I do believe that it's one of the teams that can hurt you anytime, any day. When they just click, they can hit you anytime, and I think I have no problem with them. I think they can bounce back, and they can give Liverpool problems. One thing I have with Liverpool, or my concern that I have with Liverpool, is that they are not consistent as well. I think when it comes to being consistent, they will win games and they will convince you, but they just lose a game that you never thought that they can lose. But this one, in terms of this one, Aston Villa, Aston Villa, when you switch off, even if you are at your best, Aston Villa have won games where they didn't play even well, but because they have a very good striker in Watkins, they have also Rogers, who is so creative in that midfield. So when you switch on when you switch off 1 second, they can hurt you. But again, I believe that Liverpool is on top form. Everyone is cruising. Luis Diaz, I think he's got a hat trick in the Champions League. So everyone is happy. The mood is happy. I think the international break will go on. With Liverpool being number one, and then we'll see after that. I think they're gonna win the game because it's at Anfield, and Anfield, man, Anfield is Anfield.
And it's worth mentioning that Aston Villa have been dropping points since, with only one win in their last 5 matches, and then Liverpool, on the other hand, they've only dropped 1 point in their last 5 matches. The whole season has been only 4 points. So it's worrying on the Aston Villa side, and on the Liverpool side, it's just confidence. But we know that Aston Villa once went to Anfield and then they beat Liverpool 7-1, so 7-2. So we might see inspiration for that Aston Villa win, but I don't see Aston Villa going into Anfield and beating this Liverpool side, which has been very difficult to score against. I think one of the most important things is that Gravenberch role. I want to talk about it because I was watching. I wanted the Leverkusen goal in the Champions League. I just wanted one Leverkusen goal. Gravenberch, the boy has just grown to that role, and McAllister being close to him, it helps him and covers for him in the faults that he makes in that midfield. He protects that back four so well, and Konate is just a destroyer. It reminds me of prime Matip when Virgil van Dijk and Matip were playing together, where Virgil van Dijk was receiving all the praise for just being the last man, and Matip was destroying everything. So it's similar. I can even compare it to the Arsenal defense from last season, where Gabriel was just destroying everything, and Saliba was receiving the praise for being the man behind everything that happens at Arsenal. So it's that type of partnership that is required when having a centre back partnership for any team. So I do believe that Liverpool have got a good combination. Trent has improved defensively. and the rotation between Tsimikas and Robertson gets out the best in both. Because when Tsimikas is in, he gives 100, and then he was checking out that day. And Robertson, when he got in, he was so solid. I was like, I was hoping that Robertson will be cold and make a mistake, because I wanted that one goal. You see, and I just like how strongly defensive they are. And when they get breached, they have someone in Kelleher that now has grown into that Allison role and is better now in terms of how he plays. So I do believe that Liverpool will win this one, and they will top the league going into the international break as well. So by that game we will have concluded our our Saturday action on the 9th of November, as we move over to the 10th of November, where Manchester United will host Leicester City at Old Trafford. And in the first game of the day, which we'll have 3 games kicking off at the same time. Starting with Man United, obviously, they have a new manager who hasn't arrived. They have Ruud van Nistelrooy, who hasn't lost a match ever since Erik ten Hag was sacked. His first match after the sacking of Erik ten Hag was Leicester City in the Carabao Cup. They beat them 5-2. And Leicester City do have a tendency of leaking goals. And I do believe that this Manchester United side will win again. Yes, we know lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place, so it won't be a 5-2 win again, but definitely Man United will beat Leicester City in that match with a lesser score margin, but I do believe that Leicester City will not stand a chance against Manchester United, as Manchester United will prevail and go to the international break, so that they can come back and welcome the new coach, Mr. Amorim. So yeah, that's what we have for that game. As we move over to the City Ground, when Nottingham Forest will host Newcastle United, and it's a tricky one again. Looking at how Nottingham Forest have been impressive. They are number 3 in the table, Joseph. Number 3 on the table, above Arsenal, above Chelsea, above Newcastle, above Aston Villa, above Tottenham. So it's something great to see from a team that was just years ago, they were in the championship, and now they are where they are. And mind you, the only way is up for this team, because they just hired Edu from Arsenal, not Nottingham Forest, but their ownership group, because their ownership group has multiple teams that they own around Europe. It's similar to the City Group, whereby they just own a lot of teams in Europe and in America. So it's the same thing with the group that hired Edu, going to overlook the likes of Nottingham Forest, the likes of Olympiacos, and other more teams that are going to be recruited into that system. And you look at the amount of job, the huge job that he did at Arsenal. You look at it and you kind of see that with Nottingham Forest are not afraid to go into the market and break the budget. And I do believe that their revenue services are aligning, because they haven't had any charges against them. But you look at this at these 2 games, at these 2 teams, and you kind of feel that Nottingham Forest are the favorites for once, as they are playing against Newcastle United. So I do believe that it will go well. And I just want to know from you, you might touch on Newcastle, it's not a problem, but I want to know more focus on the Nottingham Forest side, on what has been the big change that Nuno Espirito Santo came with, that has propelled Nottingham Forest to be in this position in the table.
I think uNuno ucoach my team at the level. Yeah. Because he did well with Wolves, and he was beating up Man City, he was competing, but still he wasn't in the top 5 or anything. And then he got a job, but then he was doing a very brilliant job with Wolves for a number of seasons. I think he got a space job, and then he lost a job, his job there, after performing very poorly. But then
Didn't even last half a season.
Yes, but I think these kinds of teams where they don't expect a lot from him, I think he does very well. I think he does. And then if for them for being to be number three, it's just a bonus. I think Bush now this is only the beginning and the only way is up, for Nottingham Forest and the owners and also their fans as well. They should be happy that at least at this stage of the season, they are number three,
Mm.
because that's massive.
In that way, relegation is no longer an option. A relegation fight is no longer on the cards. So they know that they are fighting for something bigger. It gives also the players the motivation. I do really understand you when you come to that point. And obviously, Nuno Espirito Santo's past side, Tottenham Hotspurs will host Ipswich. On what I can say, it's an easy fixture. It's the easiest fixture in the weekend. Not because Ipswich Town are a newly promoted side, not because Ipswich Town are a bad team to play, but their styles in terms of how open Ipswich Town can be and how Tottenham Hotspur their attack goes in when they see that a team has gaps in their defense. I have a belief and a feeling that Tottenham Hotspur will wipe the floor with Ipswich Town in this weekend. And I don't know what would Ipswich Town do to get the results against this Tottenham side.
Yeah, I think McKenna, we coach the Ipswich. I think in John Bush now they are just too open. They are just too open, and they do play good football, but it doesn't help at this level when you're just giving away too many chances and when you want to just go forward without even thinking of coming back, and you want to have position, but you don't have the solutions as to how we get into that final third. And sometimes I don't understand. Sometimes that guy he benches Liam Delap, one of their top strikers that they have Ipswich. Sometimes you see him benching Delap, so you don't understand. I do feel like Tottenham Spurs playing at home with Dominic Solanke scoring a brace, and Johnson is also a very good player on form. I think they will win that game. I think it's not gonna be a problem. But what I've noticed about Eng is that that guy is so brave. The decisions that he makes in almost every match, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't care whether you think you are big or not. He will take you out when you're not performing. He will take you out.
Yeah.
In that game, I think it was a big match as well. When he took out James Medicine, I don't remember very well. Yes, against he took out James Medicine. But
And after
for me, I felt like Medicine was doing well and he was so creative in that first half. But I'm sure he pointed out something that was a bit of a crack in terms of how they play. And he went on to make a decision and brought in Usa. And he made a difference. They won a game, even though Medicine was performing. In the last game, he took out Human Son. Wazabuza usho mina coach wamkeeper and wafaka someone who also assisted in that game, Richarlison. So I think his bravery is something that we are overlooking and something that other coaches can look into. That there's no big player in the team.
definitely, and you mentioning that bravery, and I was thinking of another bravery that he does. That guy is so brave that his fullbacks are usually high up. He usually has high up fullbacks. You find the likes of Udoki and Petro Poro making runs in behind for Madison and Kulusevski in midfield. His
Yeah.
midfield, he only has one defensive midfielder. He doesn't have a number 8. He has two number 10s in that position. That guy is brave. He's braver. I wonder if we talk about bravery. That guy is brave. He believes that That's why I believe they will win some matches and lose a lot of matches as well. Because some teams will pounce on those type of situations. Teams like Crystal Palace, that's how they beat them. It's just a simple counter attack in a position whereby Nicky van der Ven is injured. So no one is going to have the pace to chase off people in the way he sets up. But when Mickey van der Ven is there, I always see it work because he is that security. And if he fails, he delays enough for is Kukula, Romero to come in and a fair Kukula, because I'm one of the only two players I know in world football that tackle as bad as Romero. It's Lisandro Martinez and no one else. Yeah, those two Argentinians are crazy, man. Those two Argentinians are very crazy. Because the last time in the Premier League I saw someone tackling like Romero was that game. Remember Man City versus Stoke City in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure you would remember it. Man City versus Stoke City. It was a rainy day. Ontamendi came out of the game with 12 slide tackles.
I wonder I forgot someone there. I want Otamendi. Otamendi, that guy. He will tackle you. He will tackle you. That one. Right.
I'm remembering that game. I'm like, the last time I saw someone who is a bad tackler but always comes out with the ball like Romero. I remember Ontamendi when he came from Sevilla to City. Hey bo. I remember joking about it elokuzaneni esikolweni namajita angakusasa. Uyasixolela umjida wethu upha ethi hey leyo sasimbiza ngobani, sasimbiza ngo-Ontamendi. Asimbiza ngo-Ontamendi, asingalazi kahle igama lakhe. Angithi yazi commentator, uma uyizwa commentator ungazi ulibona igama. Yasafika phela kusithi. Indoda against Stoke City. Le nto kuthiwa abana 25 tackles in that match alone. 25 tackles.
Otamendi athanda ukuslide Joe.
And uyazi vele iStoke nje in England, people abahlala England will tell you Stoke is the worst city to play football in because it's always raining, it's always cold. So that game baba kwakunetha and kwakunodaka groundini. Hayi athi Ontamendi yawakhathaza. Yeah, and as we move over from that, we're going to go to our feature game of this weekend. It's a very tricky one. And it's a very tricky one. You know when you look at a game and you want something to happen on a neutral perspective, man. On a neutral perspective, you want something to happen, but you look at it and you feel that it's not going to happen. On a neutral perspective, I'm looking at this game and I have a sense of understanding that if Chelsea win this match, Chelsea won't be contenders of the league. Arsenal are there to make sure that Man City doesn't win this season. You understand? On a neutral perspective, let's forget what happens, who supports who. But look at Man City. It's been dominance over 4 years. Now it's kind of predictable when you go and play. And if it's a two-way battle between Man City and Liverpool, we know Man City is going to win that race. It's a very tricky one. And now with Arsenal dropping points and having those poor performances that they are having, it kind of gives off a very bad vibe. And on my side, I look at it and feel that Chelsea are going to win this game. Arsenal are not to their usual best, and they are going to drop more points in this game. And as sad as it is, now we're getting a team that is going to win and they won't be contending for the title. So it's just a win for them so that they can be in contention for the top four against a side that had potential to compete for the league. And then it brings me to a question again. If I am thinking like this about Arsenal, are they serious contenders again? If I'm thinking about this about them, as they are going to play a big match against Chelsea, Now it brings that doubt that it doesn't matter if they win or lose that match, because I don't believe that they can be title contenders this season the way that they are playing. Maybe they can still change, but I'm looking at an Arsenal side that is very, very scared and very hurt by not winning the title in the previous 2 seasons. And now Mikel Arteta is playing quite a very, very ugly football, if I may say. If you look at the game against Newcastle, we saw Declan Rice. I think I always praised him for being one of the most direct players that I've ever seen in football. He drives with the ball and breaks the line with how he drives with the ball from deep positions in midfield to higher positions. We see him, he's playing sideways. The whole match, he never completes a forward pass. You get situations whereby Timber has the ball. There are 4 players in half spaces, but the thinking of players, which can only be instilled by the manager, is play safe, don't lose the ball. You understand? So I'm looking at it, I'm kind of questioning Mikel Arteta, but at the same time, I'm saying I haven't seen the energy he brings on the touchline. So I haven't seen that from him urging his players to say, Timber, I'm seeing a lot of you holding the ball too much. Our players are open. They ended up getting closed when you hold on to the ball too much. I haven't seen him doing what he usually did to the likes of Martinelli, Bukayo Saka. The reason why they are great players now, it's because he always he pushed them to be on the front foot every time. So against Newcastle, Arsenal was very poor. And if they can be that poor against Chelsea, we're still not sure if Cole Palmer is fit to play as of yet. But I do believe that he will be there. And with him there, he's going to punish Arsenal. He's going to make sure that Arsenal do not continue to be in that position, because I think that sideway passing that they usually do, it does open them up when they lose the ball, because when they lose the ball, the defenders they drop in faster than anyone. I have never seen Arsenal defenders dropping quick like this. When they drop in, they leave a gap in that Cole Palmer position, in that they leave a space between their midfield and attack, and it opens up. When it opens up, Cole Palmer is going to destroy them in that position. Because when he gets the ball on the half 10, on the full 10, he passes the ball and uses the right half space. That right half space whereby there's Gabriel and Timber. There's Gabriel and Timber. When he gets into that position, Cole Palmer is going to destroy Arsenal. I just have that feeling that Cole Palmer is going to destroy Arsenal. But again, it is a game of football, and it is a game that now you kind of look at Arsenal and say, Arsenal have been a top team for a while now. And what has been happening, and it has been a trend, they go on a run of bad results and then they play Chelsea, who's on form. And they beat Chelsea and then they go on to have a good season after that. So if that can happen, then we can say Arsenal have a chance to win this one. But now I want us to kind of dissect this match game and look at how Enzo Maresca is interchanging his formations. We've seen him utilize a 3-1. We've seen him utilize a 4-3-3. We've seen him utilize a 4-1-4-1. We've seen him utilize multiple formations in the Chelsea team. But I want to know from you, which one does he go to go against Arsenal? Because I think if there is one area that Chelsea are lacking, they are wingers. I don't believe Madueke and Neto are just the two of them can consider them a threat to a huge side like Arsenal. But they do have Cole Palmer. So I want to know from you, what formation does he use and how does he use it so that he can head this Arsenal team?
I think he will go with the one that he went for playing against Liverpool, where he had two sitters. in the likes of Moses Caicedo, who
Romeo Labe.
it's Romeo Lavio. I forgot his name. Yes, Romeo Lavio. I think they complement each other when they play as a double pivot because both defensively they are too good. I think Moses Caicedo has improved a lot this season. I think the people are sleeping on him. On him, his performances have been good with the ball and even without the ball because the number
True.
of I think most of the tackles that guy Rawashaya are very solid tackles. But then Ama refs, I think they just know him as that guy who likes to tackle, then they will just blow the whistle, even though the tackle is a good one. And on the other side, the other Romeo Live, I think is a very good player, especially with the ball. I think he has that potential of even becoming a bigger player because he has the ability to pass forward. But again, Cole Palmer, as you have mentioned before, that he'll play definitely in that right half space, and he will utilize it very very well. So one thing I noticed in that game with Uris James coming back from the injury, now it kind of, I don't know, maybe should I say confuses the team or what? Because now Kukurea was forced off to I was forced to actually start on the bench in the last game. But we obviously know in that formation or system that Enzo Maresca, who Kukurea played a very huge role, a very good role in actually playing as a fullback, inverting in as a number 8, joining Cole Palmer in those half spaces with Moses Caicedo and Romeo Live. But now with Uris James coming back, we now see Uris James and then Malo Gusto or on the other side, or Rich James on the left, or Malo Gusto on there. But then he changed that in the second half in that Liverpool game because Malo Gusto, I don't know if it was Malo Gusto or Rich James who was playing on the left, but then it wasn't working. Then he
Gusto was playing on the left that day.
Yes, and then he brought in Kukurela, of which you know he understands that role. So I do believe that that formation he will go with that one of a double pivot. And then I do believe, even though Abo Pedro Neto, they are still trying to get their feet in that Chelsea team, but I do believe that he'll start with Pedro Neto since Jordan Sancho is not fully fit with Umadueko on the other side, and Nicholas Jackson, he has been improving as well.
True. And I want to mention something with that inverting situation. I did see with in the last game with Rhys James playing the left back, Malo Gusto was the one who was inverting into midfield. So
Yes.
that when you talk about confusing the team, I'm remembering that now Cole Palmer, his last 2 goals, he scored them coming from the left. So it's posing a big problem because if they try and push Cole Palmer to the right of Arsenal's defense, where they have Ben White and Saliba, it's going to be very difficult for him to influence the game in that position. So I do believe that if they can play Cucurella and play the way that we are used to seeing them play, then it can go well in the Chelsea team.
Yeah, I do believe so as well. But I want to go back to what you mentioned before that with Arsenal's form, are they title contenders this season? For me, I will go back to that situation again that Liverpool is also not consistent. So I'm worried. I'm worried if maybe we can see even this season Man City lifting a crown when they are still playing this bad. Because Arsenal is dropping points and it's looking like it's gonna get worse. Actually, okay, now they're gonna have a good run of fixtures after the Chelsea game, but then the football that they are playing very poor. I think you mentioned something like Mikel Arteta that he's not bringing that energy from the touchline. I think one thing that motivated the Arsenal players previously was the energy that Mikel Arteta has on the touchline. Like he has that energy. I'm not too sure now if this is the case of maybe the refs will book you if you start doing your things on the touchline or what. But I think I do feel like he's so down. I don't know what is happening, but he is so down. The body language, everything, he's so down. And I think that thing alone get transmitted to the players as well on the field. I think they don't get the motivation they should have from the coach. So with Liverpool being inconsistent, I know they are winning games now, but I know Liverpool. I know Liverpool. My question is, are they gonna capitalize on the Man City situation, the Arsenal situation, and actually go on a run and extend the gap at the top of the table? No, I don't think so. I doubt them, and I don't believe that they're gonna do it. So I think Arsenal will come back, and it's still gonna be a three-horse race.
I know. I'm with you there. I'm with you there. I wanted to answer that question again. Because I felt that question you were posing it to me. I wanted to answer it because I do believe as well that Liverpool, as much as they are consistent now, they have a new coach in the Premier League. I think that's the most powerful thing. I always say the Premier League is for everyone, while not being for everyone. You know, we've seen players that have come to the Premier League first 5 games, they're dominating, and then we go to the next 5 games, they're not dominating. What causes the inconsistency? Right now, the fixture schedule is very simple in the Premier League. You play weekend, we play cup games in the midweek. Play weekend, play cup games in the midweek. We're going to December. Then Liverpool will be playing in every after 48 hours, but 48, 72 hours. You know, you get those kind of situations where you are really tested as a manager. You get the situations whereby now you see he tried to change things, tried to bench Luis Diaz for some reason that we don't know. Now we are in a situation whereby Luis Diaz is proving to him that he's a good player. Do you think if he can do the same mistake in the future, it will work well for Liverpool? I don't believe so as well.
Yeah, man. Again, with Liverpool, I think one thing that is more important in this case is that uh, Liverpool haven't had a lot of injuries recently. I'm talking about recently. When you compare it to Man City and the Arsenal side, I think Arsenal have had a lot of injuries as well as suspensions.
Crucial ones as well.
As well as suspensions, which plays a huge role in terms of how they play and their fluidity as a team. As well as Man City, we obviously know that they lost Kevin De Bruyne and the most important player in that City team, which is Rodri. They've been losing players at the back, Savinho's, your everyone is like you'll see Jeremy Doku playing now, then you hear he's injured. Jack Grealish, the fluidity of both Man City and Arsenal is disturbed. Whereas Liverpool is okay, they are fluid, they don't have injuries. Now they have to capitalize on the situation. They have to extend the gap because it's not working out for Arsenal and Man City. But Arsenal will have to win this one to get the confidence back.
And I wanted to revert back to the situation you mentioned where you say Arsenal have been having suspensions and injuries similar with Man City. I'm looking at how Arsenal found it fun and maybe easy to play against City. The injury to Rodri happened, but after the red card to Trossard, the game went to the balance. You see, and then you go to an Arsenal Liverpool situation. Then between Arsenal and Liverpool, tell me that Liverpool was going to beat Arsenal if Arsenal had Saliba in that back line, if Arsenal didn't have the injuries, if Arsenal had Calafiori in that back line, if Arsenal had if Arsenal had Odegaard in that attack, if they had a 50% fit Saka, because that Saka only trained one day. He only trained one day, but he was a menace for Robertson. So I want to go back to that one, and I want to know from you if Liverpool were going to beat a fully fit Arsenal and with no suspensions.
Because I think Arsenal was playing at home, right? I don't believe, I don't think it was gonna be an easy game, just like the way it was. It ended as a draw. But with a fully fit Arsenal side, I think they are more dangerous. They are more dangerous. They can win any game against any other team. So I do believe it could have been different. but maybe Liverpool were gonna be able to even get a draw or a winner. But a winner was gonna be almost impossible to get it away with a fully fit Arsenal squad.
I think that draw for me it was just up to you know that we didn't have a natural centre back in that team.
Yeah, in Saliba.
Yeah, no, even Gabriel got injured in that game.
Oh yeah, yes.
You know, and the left back Timber also as well, he got injured.
Yes.
So it means the only person who was a natural defender, because they had Partey at right back, Ben White at centre back.
Liverpool, yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about. And then towards the end of the game, the centre back partnership was Ben White and Kivio
Imagine.
with Lewis Kelly as a left back.
I know Liverpool should have done better, Yeah,
So now you mentioning that it brings the question value, do Liverpool have what it takes to be in this title race and compete? Because obviously they did beat Chelsea, but I don't believe Chelsea are at Enzo Maresca. Are at where Enzo Maresca wants them. So it is a tricky one, but again, I want to know from you, obviously, this is our feature game, our main game of the weekend. I want to know the predictions, my brother. I want to put you on the spot. Who's winning this one and what's the score margin?
I think it's gonna be a 1-1 draw. This one, I don't see any winner. I don't see any winner for this one.
To draw as well on my side. I don't see a way out for any of these two sides. As much as Arsenal are very poor, Chelsea haven't got what it takes to just go head to head with this Arsenal team as of yet. So that's the situation. And with that said, obviously it brings us to the end of our show. I'm interested, but I am interested to see England play in the upcoming internationals with Thomas Tuchel as their manager. Won't talk too much on that, but I just wanted to mention that I am interested to see how they will play, how they will set up, and how will the England fans feel if we can lose that first match. So it's fireworks. Football is fun. Football is nice these days. As much as players are getting overworked, but football is fun and football is nice. And hopefully we can have more nicer things in football, more going forward. So with that said, we have come to the end of our show. So from me, Samgelo Nyati, Mtunzi Mbata, and the Football Corner City. See you on the next one.
Siyabonga.
Ponch, ndibela